Welcome to Milk Market Tidbit for the August cold storage report that USDA released yesterday. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones with Farm Institute, and I'm recording this on Friday, September the 27th. So the cold storage report is the second report we get following the milk production report, and it will be followed up with the dairy products report in another 7 to 10 days sometime later in the month. So the cold storage report gives us the residual that is left over after we know the production, which we'll get in the dairy products report. And then the difference between those is the actual disappearance. Now keep in mind that for 30 days, cheese is considered fresh and may not be counted in the residual. So there's always a little bit of give and take between a given month as to what the disappearance actually was. So where did we end up? Well, first off, we had some revisions in July. USDA revised down the July numbers by 3.5 million pounds, and they revised down the butter cold storage by 977,000 pounds. Now, what that means, the July disappearance was better than we thought it was if they reduced those cold storage numbers down. Now, we ended up about 1.4 billion pounds, down 3.1 million. Didn't come down as much as what we kind of thought typical would, a little bit more than StoneX. StoneX had it actually increasing a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, we can kind of assume that August cheese disappearance was probably a little bit less than July. Now, it doesn't mean it's terrible. It just means it's going to be a little bit less than, pulling off this 11 million versus 3 million. Now, for butter, this came in pretty well right in the middle where expected. We drew it down a little bit more than I would call typical, but a little bit less than what StoneX had it at. So really the big question that I keep asking myself was, why would you put cheese in cold storage? Now, traditionally, it was kind of thought, as kind of the place where if you had excess cheese, you throw it into cold storage. If you needed cheese, you'd pull it out of cold storage. But I'm not sure that holds much anymore. So first off, you want to look at the forward curve. The question is, why would you want to put cheese in cold storage at $2.30 and pull it out, here a little bit later at $1.85? That just makes no sense. So you're going to do everything you can not to put cheese in cold storage. At the same time, there's new cheese capacity coming online soon, so why would you want to put cheese in cold storage just to find out that your neighbor built a brand new plant that's going to try to put you out of business? And so this would also keep you from putting cheese in cold storage. And then I also think cheese in cold storage is an inflation hedge. And so back when we were at 9% inflation, of course, you're going to want to put cheese into cold storage. But here we're down to 2.5, 2.1, 2.2% inflation. It doesn't make any more sense to put it into cold storage. So in the short term, this is going to be downward pressure on prices because we're going to have more cheese coming to the spot market than we would normally, given if these things weren't this case. So if we look at the stocks, to me, this is a bullish trend. We are definitely in a downward trend. We'd been up for a long time. Things seem to have made a change in like 2022. And again, this came in just slightly more than we thought it would. There have been times when we've been somewhat flat in cold storage, and I think that's probably what's going to happen here. We're not going to see this big gain that we typically have in the spring of the year, I suspect. When we're looking at the federal milk marketing data, this would have suggested that cheese production was going to be down a little bit. We'll have to see when we get the dairy products report. Now, just as a heads up, one of the things that's going to become difficult here, we're probably going to have significant depooling of Class 3 for at least September, October, probably even November, because Class 3 is higher than Class 4. Now, for December and January, we should be about even, so we'll get a true estimate of our capacities. And then, starting in the first of the year, we'll probably be depooling Class 4 pretty heavily. So what's going on with cheese prices? In the world market, we're about 202. National Dairy Sales Report last month was 204. It's a little higher than that, probably 211 on a weekly basis. So we're not going to be doing, significant exports. And again, spot market has been way, way up here, which is now coming down, but it's been significantly higher. American stocks actually came down a little bit. This is again a kind of bullish as I look at it for spot prices because that's all cheddar cheese. The percentage of the cheese in cold storage is about 57% American. That actually came up just a little bit. But this stocks grew a little bit more than we thought would be typical. But for me right now, it's kind of hard to know what is typical in these lines. Other stocks are also declining. These were right on the estimate. And again, these have increased significantly through like 2022, 2023, somewhere in here, and then started falling off after that. So butter stocks have done a significant change. You know, we were going up significantly. We had this big drop off in 2022. And then now we're just kind of slowly coming back up on the same trend that we've had previously. And the question is, you know, why is butter stocks going up when everything else might be going down? And the simple solution is we have really been increasing these components, and fat percentages are going up. So this cold storage report was yesterday. Later today, we are going to get the agricultural prices. Next week, we're going to have a global dairy trade, and then the dairy products report, which will be our next milk market tidbit on next Friday.